And for those, this is the SAG-AFTRA strike we're talking about.
Yeah, SAG-AFTRA, right.
Okay.
Yeah, man, I'm actually at a point now where I think, and I think Fran Drescher, national president, Duncan Crabtree Ireland, who's I believe he's the vice president, national vice president. I believe they're doing a good job, man. But I also believe that they feeling themselves a little bit too much. Because you got to realize everybody's fighting with AI, obviously. Mm-hmm. Well, let's just go back. So everybody kind of went on strike at the same time. The writers have been on the longest.
Right.
Then the directors went. Then we went.
But the writers came to a deal, right?
Writers came to a deal. Now, typically, from our research I've done, again, you can't take anything I'm saying with. Let me put this disclaimer out there. I am a SAG member, proudly, yes, but I do not work for SAG. I do not hold an office. I'm not a board member. I've been in this industry for a long ass time, and it's like I want to know what the hell is going on with my shit because this is how I eat, So I do my research. And if you go back, typically the last 2 times that this has happened or a strike has come up, AMPTP has done American Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, Alliance of Motion Picture Television Producers.
I know, it's a mouthful there, that one.
So every time that they've made a deal, it's been like 10 year. It's been a 10-year deal. All right, 10 years is the deal. The first time that this big strike happens because we weren't getting residuals from home video. Before that, it was, just the notion of better pay. Inflation, we need better pay. This is ridiculous. So this time around, the writers approved their deal, and it was a 3-year deal. But before the writers got there, a lot of people forget the directors, DGA was on strike. They got a 3-year deal. So let's just do the math. I'm like, all right, well, SAG, that's probably what we're going to get. Even though we have quadruple the amount of number of members that DGA has and damn near 3 times the amount of members that WGA has, they're probably going to give us a 3-year deal because that's just what's going to happen.
Right.
And I think they don't want that. So they go, it's all or nothing. I'm like, you can't do that with these studios because these studios do make enough money. They released fucking, who was it? Netflix owner Ted Sarantos, I forget how to say his fucking last name. Him and David Zaslav, who's, Warner. Mm-hmm. They released their stuff, and obviously, everybody knows Bob Iger and what. Him. But all these guys are making, 220 plus a year, not 220,000, 220 million a year.
An absurd amount of money.
220 million a year. Mm-hmm. These guys are making, and not one of them have a creative bone in their body. If you ask me, all they're doing is make executive decisions. They're not the creatives. They're getting paid that much. Do you really think these companies are broke? That's how much one man makes. The company overall is making billions.
Yeah, they ain't hurting.
So you really think that they're going to sit there and go, all right, cool, well, if we don't want you, that's fine. The strike, yes, it holds. We still, voiceover, you can't do that or whatever. But there's so many other non-union actors, social media stars, I'll call them, that these studios can call and go, we're going to film you and put you in. And you go, oh, well, if they do that, then we're not going to make these people SAG who are non-union and blah, blah, blah. You think these people give a shit? You got social media stars pulling in, if not 10, if not 15K a week, just off posting shit and going viral or whatever.
They don't even need the benefits.
They don't need the union benefits. You think they can't afford health insurance?
Yeah.
They don't care.
All that affiliates, all that, yeah,
marketing deals and brand deals.
Yeah.
They're making a killing off that shit. So audiences are going to get tired of not watching stuff. So they're going to, when new content comes out, they're going to watch. Why do you think Tubi's doing so well? And Tubi, from my understanding and the research I've done, I was brought to my attention by a couple of people, and then even some of my students are aware of this. Mm-hmm. But they are Fox affiliate, and I went and did some more research, and I wanted to see.
Were they always Fox affiliated?
I think they were acquired.
Okay.
That's why I'm getting to. I think they were acquired. Again, don't quote me on that.
That makes sense.
I'm trying to do some more digging to see when this actually happened. Mm-hmm. As they started off as an independent,
Yeah.
Which is why they can kind of duck some of the SAG stuff. But people are watching Tubi because Tubi's like the new YouTube.
It is, but for like just your Roku.
Right, exactly. And it's like, but if you look at Tubi long enough, which I did, I was like, you know what, there's got to be something decent on here. There's actually, like, for every 10 shitty movies, there's one decent one.
Pretty good.
for the budget.
Okay.
Like you can forego the budget, but the acting is actually not that bad. The sound's not that bad. It's like, okay, cool. You know, you can tell these people put, $300,000-400,000 into this movie, and it's actually not that bad. Enough people are going to start doing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So where does that leave the SAG actors? And then, because I've already spoken to some actors, obviously we're remain nameless, excuse me, SAG actors that have said, yo, if this shit starts creeping into spring of next year, I don't give a shit about the union. I'll go overseas. I'll work non-union. I got bills to pay. And that's the thing that, it's like any other democracy. It's like any other union. It's like any other hierarchy. The people at the top want us to, fight and stay strong, and which I'm totally for. I went to a couple of strikes. I spoke at a couple of rallies. I spoke at one rally here in Orlando.
I've been that.
Yeah, I've been supporting. Like nobody can ever sit there and say that I don't back my union. I do 100%.
No, there's receipts.
Right. Yeah, I do 100%. But at the same time, I got a daughter to take care of. So if you're going to banish me because I need to go work a job because you're keeping me from doing that, Fran ain't hurting for money. Duncan ain't hurting for money. Like, these people are getting paid.
Right.
Still. You hold office. You're getting a salary. It's like the rest of us are still having to figure out what's going on. Not only that, you're still having to deal with this class action suit, about the whole insurance during COVID. You know how many of us actors, SAG actors, lost our insurance because if people don't know, I'm sure you do, but obviously for your listeners and subscribers, like for us SAG actors, we have to qualify. We have to make a certain amount of money, which is 26 plus, basically $26,000 a year in a calendar year to qualify for insurance. Now, 26,000 doesn't sound like a lot, but when you consider the average actor take home makes about $7K.
I was going to say, when it comes to acting gigs,
right,
that's a decent amount.
Right.
Yeah.
It's 26,000 might as well be six figures.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're having a good year.
Right.
If you made that much.
Right. If you made that much, you're having a good year.
Right.
Hell, if you book one union job, you're having a good year.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And how can you book one union job when the world is shut down?
You can't.
COVID took everything out.
Right.
So you take our insurance. That's the last thing you need to take during a global pandemic.
Yeah.
Not national, a global pandemic, and you take insurance.
That makes no sense. If anything, you should take the hit.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think that's why now you see so many actors who are wealthy donating so much to the SAG Foundation with the strike going on. Like, all these, like George Clooney supposedly and The Rock and all these people give up a million. So there's a whole bunch of money in there. But the crazy thing about it is actors are only entitled to, I think anywhere from like $3 to $7 grand or something like that, somewhere in that ballpark. Like
out of the pot that's donated.
Exactly, because they want to make sure everybody gets some, which I get. But $5 grand, what am I supposed to do with $5 grand?
Yeah, it pays maybe 2 months of rent if I'm
maybe
lucky.
Depending on where you live.
Right.
If you got a home, you might pay 2 months of mortgage, maybe. But if you're in LA or New York. $5 grand is getting you a month.
Like 1 month and then your utility bill.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe your car insurance and shit. So
right.
How you supposed to survive on that, man? So the strike has really put a damper on a lot of things. And for me personally, again, I can't speak for anybody else. For me personally, I feel like
you're near your breaking point.
Yeah, because they when the writers' strike ended, or when they finally came to the table as an AMPTP, was like, writers, fine, here. We'll meet you on this. We'll meet you on this. We'll meet you on this. And the writer's like, you know what? It's good. I think at that point, that's when SAG, you kick the monster when you attack the monster when it's weak. You kick them when they're down, right? That's as far as the bad guy. That's what happens.
That was the tactic they may have taken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we should have done that. We should have jumped in and done that. And we waited until they got their wits about them. And we was, we might have made a mistake with the writers.
Right.
We ain't going to make that same mistake with SAG. And SAG waited and came to the table. And now they're like, you know what? If you don't want to take this, then we're not coming back to the table. And then what upset me, what Fran did was she put out a video. Hi, this is Fran Dresser, and how she talks. That was a poor imitation, but everybody knows her voice. Come on, man.
It's iconic. Yeah, you recognize it.
And, much love to Fran. I mean, listen, that'll go down in history. Her voice is her voice. But she came out with this video, and it's like her and the board members are sitting there on one side of the table, and then the camera, slowly backs out, right? And the other side of the table is empty. And it was like a jab. You could tell it was like on social media. It was like a jab at them. I'm like, why? Why would you do that? We all know that they didn't come back to the table. You don't have to do that for likes. You don't have to do that for attention.
Yeah, so they're putting on this little theatrical thing to make a show and be like, and be dramatic, essentially.
Right.
They can't help themselves, I guess, can they?
And you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that.
Right.
And I think that may have been the thing that made AMPTP go, okay, cool. Now we're going to starve you out. Because there was a rumor that, and I believe 100% they said that about the writers. We're going to starve them out, make them lose. And they try to say, oh, we didn't say that. Bullshit. You know, you seem like the type of people that would do that. I think they're going to do that with the actors. Because now that they have the writers and they have the directors, all they got to do is get IATSE on board. And you can shoot content without us. It's been proven. You can shoot a silent film, with non-union actors. Go to non-union states and shoot. And then they can put it out.
Can they not shoot anything with dialogue? Like, how does that work? Like, they
can't, everything has to be non-union. So the thing about SAG is, like, for example, we're striking.
But wouldn't these studios? Oh well, no. I guess I guess they couldn't do non-union things because then the writers couldn't be a part of it, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So they have the interim agreements. They also have certain agreements, like, we struck the video game interactive. So like the video games are going to be different. But there's always a loophole, man. There's always a loophole. And when there's money involved,
that's always going to be the deciding factor.
Right.
Yeah.
If these studios have to pay another $100 million to get around hiring actors to prove a point, I'm pretty sure they're going to make that decision. I mean, hell, AI, that was the thing about AI. I'd read somewhere, I can't remember where it was. I want to say it was IndieWire, or it was one of the trades, but not like it wasn't Deadline or Hollywood Reporter, Variety.
IndieWire sounds right.
Yeah, it might have been IndieWire
because they pump out stuff all the time now.
All the time, and they were quoting or saying, like, somebody was a theory online was that part of the AI was stunts, because we're already using the CGI for de-aging. We've been doing that for the last 8 years. So now they're saying, like, how cool would it be to have a shot where you have the Avengers. And you don't have to do these cuts that they're jumping off the roof. Like, you can have an AI
do it.
Do it in camera and then cut to the real person and then do that. But the stunts look real. You could have somebody actually shoot out plasma or flying. Superman can actually fly now. And it's like, to these kids nowadays, that's going to be a much better watch for them. Yeah, I mean, the video games look damn near realistic as it is. But they obviously mocap and using us. But they're putting them in that world and creating that, and it's like, okay, it makes sense. So, listen, I'm all for technology advancing, but I understand it's a tool. It's like I said at the rally. It's a tool, not the tool.
Yeah.
Meaning, anybody can take a tool and you can use it for good or you can use it for evil. A hammer is meant to build, but I can also cave your head in with it. So you're going to stop selling hammers? No, it's all about the person using it. And that's my whole point. It's like, I wish SAG and AMPTP would sit down and go, okay, we have to redo our contracts and based on the stipulations of what you want and I want, or based on the needs of whoever's producing the content. So if you're doing a drama movie, no AI doesn't need to be writing the script. No AI doesn't need AI actors. If you're doing another damn, Infinity Saga,
then yeah, sure.
It makes
maybe
sense.
Implement some of that into that. Yeah, I see. That seems like a reasonable place to approach it.
Right. And I tell you, man, it's just getting to the point where it's like, I told people when it first happened back in July, on the 13th of July, when we sent out the vote and we approved it, unanimously, like, hey, we're going to go on strike, the authorization. I told everybody, I was like, this is not going to end before the year is over. And people thought I was crazy and being pessimist. I was like, no, come on, look at the track. I do my research. Look at the track record. This is not going to end before the year is over.
And here we are. And it doesn't. Does it even look like they're going to get back anytime soon?
No, not at this point. I think we would have, because the writers, even though the strike is over, it doesn't go into effect, from my understanding, until January, like sometime in January. So they could go back to the table, start writing, but like everything isn't fleshed out. It isn't official,
right?
Until around January. You got to think about it. Production shuts down. This for the holidays anyway. I mean,
so
really shooting anything November, December.
So it's going to be the dead time anyway. So they're probably not going to be in a hurry at all. To come back to the table.
Exactly. So for them, they're like, that's why I think this was the last.
Perfect timing, actually.
Right. I can get on my yacht and go to Maldives and fucking chill for, 3 months and be okay.
Get to your senses and talk to us next year.
Right. And at that point, we're not holding the chips anymore. Now we're going back begging. And they're going to be like, oh, okay, remember that, 18% increase you wanted or whatever it was something over 15% increase you wanted. And now we're only agreeing to 8. And what are you going to say?
Yeah, at that point, the amount of time that's gone by,
right.
you're like you said, they have all the chips, your bargaining power is diminished. I mean, it's not good.
No.